So, the PlayStation 2021 Showcase livestream came and went yesterday, and I don't know how many of you guys sat and watched it, but I happened to watch it live while chatting with a friend, and I thought there was some interesting stuff to talk about. So what we're going to do here is just have a quick look at some of the trailers, and I'm going to chat about some of the things that stood out to me and give some of my opinions. Of course, if you like the video, please do consider subscribing to the channel. We're less than 100 subs away from that 1,000 milestone, and as I've said before, each individual that subscribes to the channel really does make a difference. But without further ado, let's get into the trailer. So the one that you're already looking at is Project Eve. Now I'm pretty sure, and I assume that that is the main name of the game. It's not actually a sort of code name, you know, like Project Scarlet was. I'm pretty sure the game is actually just called Project Eve. And it looks to be a hack and slash action game in the vein of something like, I guess, Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, that kind of thing. And this is one of those games that at first, when I was watching it, I kind of got the feeling that it was sort of a, you know, like one of those kind of budget hack and slash games that looks kind of flashy but ends up feeling really janky to play. That's kind of the first impression I got, but the longer that the trailer went on, the more I kind of started to warm up to it. I don't know, I just ended up really liking the monster designs, and of course the rest of the graphical stuff just looked pretty good in my opinion, and the combat looked really fast. There was some parrying in there was some cool combos, some abilities, and you don't really get a very good look at the HUD or the health bars and things like that. You do get the odd glimpse here and there, but it was a little bit hard to tell what each thing kind of represented. I mean, you can see that there's a bar for HP and stuff like that, but it kind of doesn't look like it has a stamina bar. Some people were saying this looked like it could be a Souls-like game. I wasn't too sure about that. For me, I think it's a hack and slash Devil May Cry style thing. But yeah, there was some other bars that seemed to deplete when the character did some special moves and things like that, some abilities. So perhaps it's sort of an energy meter that builds up when you attack the enemy, and the more energy you build up, then you can unleash different combos and powers and things like that. If so, that's a pretty cool system. I like the parries that I saw. The combat looked really kind of chunky, like impactful, I guess is the way to really describe it, and you know, generally quite fast and fluid, which was pretty cool. And for me, this was one of those games that, you know, you just don't know it's coming, and then all of a sudden you get shown it, and my interest was piqued. I like the monster designs, I like the combat, I don't know, games like this are interesting to me, so I think this is definitely one I'll keep an eye on. And also, I'll just say right now, it would be really cool to get your opinions on this, so let me know what you thought of all the different trailers, and even if I don't mention a game in this, feel free to talk about it in the comments below, and maybe we can get some discussions going. So let's move on to the next game, which was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the remake. For me, this is really great to hear. Now, I'm not even really a huge Star Wars fan, I'm just a fan of the Knights of the Old Republic games. I played them back in the day on the original Xbox, and they were one of the only real Star Wars things that's ever really pulled me in, you know? I love that game, and I'm really happy that it's getting some kind of remaster. Well, I mean, it says remake, so I don't know how detailed this is going to be, because again, like most things with these showcases, they give you a little bit of CG and nothing else except a name. So still at this point, we really don't know anything about what it's going to look like, or how it's going to play, or if there's going to be anything really different about it, or if it's just going to be a kind of remaster. We don't really know exactly how it's going to turn out, and that does kind of worry me a little bit, but considering that the game was already great, I just hope that they modernize it a bit without taking away what made it great. That's my hope anyway. But as I said, there's not really much we can really say about this. This little CG thing, little trailer was cool, I guess, and now we know it's coming. But it is a little bit weird that it's exclusive to the PlayStation 5. I did hear, I'm not sure exactly how this works, but I know it's coming to PC, and I think it's coming to Xbox and the other consoles like afterwards. I think it's like a timed exclusive. If that's the case, then fine, I guess. But as I've said before, I'm not a PlayStation fanboy in any way, shape or form. I do prefer to play on the PlayStation, but you know, I really want everybody to have access to this game, especially because pretty much everyone had access to it before. It wasn't a console exclusive before. So, I don't know, it feels a little bit scummy for them to jump in and just grab the exclusivity for a set amount of time. I'm glad it's not permanent, but Still, it's a little bit crappy, but it's great that it's coming, and I'm looking forward to it. Next up, we've got Gran Turismo 7. Now, everyone knew this was coming, everyone knew it was going to look great. I'm pretty sure it's going to be able to run in 4K and 120 FPS, so this thing looks pretty incredible. It's probably the most realistic racing / car sort of simulation game that you're ever going to see, at least, up till this point, right? And what's funny is I'm not even really a racing fan. I'm not a fan of real life racing, and I'm not a fan of racing games, but I do play the ones that are, how do I explain it? Much more like an RPG. So, when it comes to Forza on the Xbox, right? I don't play the Forza Motorsport games, but I do play the Horizon ones because they're much more like a car RPG, And yes, the handling is quite realistic in those games, but it's also a little bit arcadey as well. I know that Gran Turismo is far more simulation than arcade, but it's still got that, RPG side to it where you're building up a garage, or garage if you're from the US. But you know what I'm saying, right? You build up your money, you build up your licenses, you win races, you make your cars better. You got all this design stuff where you can change the liveries of the cars and the colors and the materials. It's just a lot of cool stuff. And it's a shame that it's going to go for, £70 or $70 because, I still don't agree with the price rise for next gen, but that's a whole nother thing we could get into. But for me, I think I'll still end up picking this up. I will try to, of course, get a review code for all of the games mentioned here when the time comes, but being a smaller channel at the moment doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does, so we'll see. I'll probably just buy them anyway if I don't get review codes, but we'll have to see when it comes out. I'm looking forward to it. And as I said, even though I'm not a racing fan, I think it's good to diversify what you play a little bit just to kind of expand your repertoire, if that doesn't sound too pretentious. But next up we have Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and for me personally, I know this probably isn't the case for most, but for me personally, Tiny Tina's Wonderland was the game of the show, just simply because I'm a fan of the series and it looks like more of the same. And I know some people always say, well, it's not different enough. And I don't want to say argument because, each to their own and all that kind of thing, but for me, more of the same is always good. I quite like comfort, safe and tried and tested, I guess is the best way to put it. I like knowing that this is going to be basically a Borderlands game and I can pick it up without worrying about it. At least, for the most part, because with people like Randy Pitchford in charge, you never really know what things are going to end up like. But again, watching the trailer, it looks fun. I like the humor in Borderlands. I know some people don't. I know, honestly, Borderlands 3 wasn't that great. It was one of those games where, and you've probably had this yourself, where you pick up a game and you sort of feel like you're ready to play it. You put the disc in or you download the game, whatever, you boot it up and you start playing and you just kind of feel like you're not ready for it. You just kind of go, I'm not feeling this, and then you just move on to something else. That happened with me with Borderlands 3. I played it when it came out and I just didn't like it for some reason. I just wasn't ready to play it. I can't explain it, I really can't. But about a year later when it was on sale, I decided, I just had this feeling like I want to play it again, I want to give it another chance. I did, and I ended up basically 100%ing it. I played through it hundreds of hours. I absolutely adored it. Do I think it's better than Borderlands 1 and 2? It's probably better than 1, but not better than 2. I think 2 is still amazing. Pre-sequel was okay. But this one looks great. It looks like they're really embracing the wacky side of it. I mean, more so than the Borderlands series tends to do. But I like the Tiny Tina stuff. Tiny Tina was one of my favorite characters. I know some people find her really cringy, but I always thought she was hilarious. That's just a personal thing, I guess. And it's based on that DLC, the Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. Is that what it was called? Where it was like a D&D adventure. It's based on that. And I was actually hoping that this would have more of a melee-based focus. I don't know why I was thinking that, considering Borderlands is, known for its guns and all that kind of stuff, but I was really hoping for a much more weapons, melee weapons-based system, and it does look like it has some of that. It looks like there's a few third-person attack animations in the same vein as the way like supers work in Destiny, I think, by looking at the footage. And I did see some, sword play and stuff like that and some magic, so maybe it will have a little bit more to do than just use a gun and that's it, which is what I'm hoping for. But overall, it looks really good. I think it's probably going to play really good. It's going to be more Borderlands, and for me, that's perfectly fine. And moving on now to Forspoken. This is a weird one. I don't really know what to think about this. This is why it's more towards the end of the video, because I just don't know what to say about it. I think the world looks really, really good. You know, the backgrounds, the sort of skyboxes, the vistas where you can see off into the distance, and even the character's movement and the attack animations and the combat looks pretty interesting to me. But it's the character. I find the character real annoying. Like, it's just I'll just be completely honest, it's a personal thing. I just find her really annoying. You know, this kind of like fish out of water kind of thing where she's saying, oh, you know, it's a freaking dragon, and all. It's like, yeah, okay, are you going to be doing this the whole time? Are you going to be saying, wow, there's a wizard, wow, there's a dragon, like every time? Because for me, it just got, even in the trailer, it got a little bit annoying. So if that's just an early game thing, I think I'll be okay with this, because I think the game and the gameplay will override it. But if she becomes too annoying to play as, then it might just grate on me a little. This is probably one I'll still pick up, and I'll still, try and get a review code for, and even if I don't get one, I'll probably just buy it so I can at least share it with you guys and do a review on it. It might just be a case of the game is great, but the character's annoying. And if that's the case, I mean, you can live with that. At least most people can, I would think. So yeah, for me, this looks interesting. I'm going to give it a try when it comes out. Let me know what you think about it. And the last game I really want to talk about specifically is God of War Ragnarok. This is going to be difficult because I think people might hate me when I say this, but I don't really care about this game. And before you get, really upset about that, let me just clarify. I don't think the game is bad. I mean, I haven't played it, obviously, but I don't think it looks bad. And in fact, I'll tell you right now, I don't think the 2018 God of War was bad. I played that game. I beat that game. Fair enough, I didn't do a lot of the side stuff, but I beat the main story of that game, and it was well written, the gameplay was fun, the graphics were pretty damn good for a PS4 era game, and yeah, overall it was a great game. It's just that I don't care about the universe. I'm not someone who grew up playing God of War, the old ones, so when the new one came out, I was just like, oh look, a God of War game. Like, I don't really have anything invested in it. I don't have a horse in the race, so to speak. I just don't care about that world or the characters in it. Not to say that the games are bad, because as I said, I enjoyed it, and I probably will play this. I mean, I was saying to my friend that perhaps he might have to step in and play it if I've got other things to play, because this will be lower on my personal list of stuff to play. But I've got to say, from the trailer, graphically, it looks incredible. The story, the stakes seem to be getting higher and higher, and I'm interested to see where the story goes. But the problem is, I don't really care about the people enough to really be excited about it. It's one of those situations where I can objectively say to you that this is clearly going to be a very good video game for the majority of people who experience it, right? But I'm just not personally invested in it. I think that's the best way to put it, because people often think that when you say, I don't like X game or this game or whatever, people tend to think you're just like crapping all over it, and I'm really not, because I think it will be great. I really do. So it's just going to depend on what's going on at the time. I may play it, or I may ask my friend to step in and play it, and I'll produce a review from that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think it looks great, as we all knew it would, right? So yeah, if you're a fan of especially the newer God of War stuff, then this is going to be great for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it does and how it turns out. And of course, there were some other things shown, like what did we have from Marvel? Spider-Man 2, which I'm really not interested in. I did play Spider-Man 1. I didn't play Miles Morales. But yeah, Spider-Man 1 was okay. Again, it's another one of those situations where I don't really care about Spider-Man as a character. He's not my character. He's not my guy. Do you know what I mean? He's just not someone I care about. Same with Guardians of the Galaxy. To be honest, I'll be, brutally honest here. I've never really cared that much for Marvel. When I was a kid, or now, I just don't really care about it. Funnily enough, my missus was the one who loved Marvel, but even she's fallen off of it. She loved the MCU stuff, and we watched all the films together, and we just ended up getting bored and burnt out on them. I think we watched Infinity War, and I think there was one more film we watched after that. Was Black Panther before or after that? Whatever. point was we never got around to watching Endgame or the second Spider-Man or Captain Marvel or any of that. Or the second Ant-Man film for that matter. We just got to the point where we kind of just didn't care anymore. You know, it's not that they're bad, it's just that we're burnt out and we just don't care about them anymore. So, you know, they also showed that teaser for Wolverine. Again, I don't care about Wolverine. I'm not bothered by Marvel stuff in general. But, you know, again, I'm trying to point out that doesn't mean that it isn't good. Right? You know, you can like that stuff. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not for me. So please don't think I'm just crapping over everything that you like, because that really isn't the case. We also got, I mean, well, you can't have any kind of showcase at the moment without showing something to do with Deathloop, which, I'll be honest again, I 100% do not care about this game. I didn't really like Dishonored that much. I can see why people do. Again, but not for me, not my kind of thing. What else did we get? We got GTA 5, the next gen version, which again, I didn't care about it when it first came out, and I don't care about it now. I like the original top-down ones from like the PS1 era. I quite like those. And I did get into Vice City quite a lot, I think. But other than those, the original 2 top-down ones and the London expansion, as well as Vice City. Besides those, I've never really cared for the GTA series, so probably not something I'll engage with. And there were a few other things, of course, like Ghostwire Tokyo, which seems like it sort of looks like a horror game, but I'm not really sure. That's just something I don't have much interest in. And some remasters of Alan Wake, the Uncharted series, and, you know, a few more minor things that I'm not going to mention here. But it was a pretty decent show overall, I think. Me and my friend were quite impressed, mostly impressed anyway. Some stuff we didn't care about, but overall, quite a lot of cool stuff. So, yeah, let me know what you thought about the PlayStation 2021 showcase down in the comments section. And of course, if you're new here and you liked the video, please do consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to go above and beyond and support the channel even further, all the important links will be in the description down below. But with all that said, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.